Good morning. Good morning to everyone today at our public hearing of the Prosecutor Vetting Commission. My name is Christopher Lehman, the chairperson of the commission, and I declare the session to be open. Our commission is established under Law 252 on the external evaluation of judges and prosecutors. Article 22, paragraph 13 of the law provides that this commission will assess the candidates for the Superior Council of Prosecutors Selection and Evaluation Board according to the procedures and criteria regulated by Law Number 26 of 2022 on the measures related to the selection of candidates for the position of members in the self-administration bodies of the prosecutors. The hearing is being conducted under the Commission's rules of procedures for evaluations under Law Number 26. The subject of today's hearing is Alexandru Nichita, a candidate for the Superior Council of Prosecutors Selection and Evaluation Board. Mr. Nichita, welcome to the proceedings today. I am joined by my colleagues on the commission. From my far right, Nadezhda Hluptievsky, to my immediate right, Ermontis Mikolonis, to my left, Saskia DeVries, and to my far left, Cornel Lebedinsky. The commission is also assisted by the members of our secretariat. The hearing is open to the public and members of the media. The hearing is being interpreted into both Romanian and English. To allow for accurate interpretation today, I would ask everyone to speak slowly and clearly. The proceedings are being recorded. The recordings of the Commission's public hearings will be available within 3 days on the Commission's website, which is www.vettingmd.org. Mr. Nichita, during the hearing, one or more members of the Commission will ask questions to you. Please answer them truthfully and completely. Your explanations are important to the Commission in verifying your financial and ethical integrity. In formulating our questions, we will take into account your privacy and, where required and possible, privacy of your family members and close persons. We will leave out unnecessary details relating to ID numbers, bank account numbers, specific addresses of real estate, and the like. For the protection of your privacy, we would ask that you do the same. At the end of the hearing, you'll be given an opportunity to make a closing statement to the Commission. I'll start by briefly reviewing the evaluation process for Alexandru Nichita. The Commission initiated its evaluation on the 22nd of December 2023 by notifying you by email and asking you to complete and return an ethics questionnaire and financial declaration form. Mr. Nichita, you returned the completed questionnaire and declarations on the 29th of December 2023. As part of our evaluation of the candidate's ethical and financial integrity, the Commission also obtained information from a number of other sources, such as the National Integrity Authority, the State Fiscal Service, other public institutions, financial institutions, and open sources. The Commission assesses information it obtains from these sources for relevance and reliability. The Commission also sent you 4 rounds of questions on the 28th of March 2024, 18th of April, 7th of May, and the 17th of May of this year, to which you responded. On the 23rd of May, the Commission invited you to attend today's hearing. At that time, we notified you of the specific topics to be addressed at the hearing today. Mr. Nichita, thank you again for your appearance today. I'll begin with a few questions to you. First, I'd like to ask if you wish to make any additions or corrections to the answers that you have provided to the Commission's request for information.
Includeți, vă rog, microfonul.
I'm sorry, I'm not.
La moment careva concretizări sau
Right now, there's nothing for me to add or further clarify.
And the answers that you provided in the 5-year declaration and the ethics questionnaire that you returned in December of 2023, are those answers still accurate as of today?
Da, sigur.
Yes, certainly.
I will give the floor to my colleague Cornel Lebedinsky, who will follow up with additional questions. Cornel?
Da, vă mulțumesc, domnule președinte.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Domnule procuror
Good morning, esteemed Prosecutor Alexandru Nichita. I will be asking you several questions in blocks, and the first one has to do with the land and the house and the accessory buildings, all in Cricova town. And the first question has to do with the fact that, as you've also mentioned in the written rounds of questions and answers in 2017, there's been a journalistic investigation published with regards to those assets. So the first question is, what is your position regarding the information that came out in that journalistic investigation? Do you agree with it? Do you not agree with that? So what is your position in that regard, considering the alleged violations in the public space? Thank you for this question. I was at the National Institute of Justice. I teach something there, and I received a phone call. There was a journalist calling me, and he asked me some questions regarding this case. And therefore, as I've stated, what I said, that's what I wrote. So I admit that the journalist was quite objective. So I explained that what the source of the funds was. I explained the origin. What is more, that is published. Actually, I've even invited the journalist, so that every day after 5, you could actually visit me at home and see how and where I was living. I was living in an apartment at that time, not in the house. Nobody was living in the house. The house was under renovations. And to avoid any suspicion whatsoever as to why was it not cleared for occupancy, why the tax was not being paid. In 2017, it was actually cleared for occupancy, but we've actually moved in there 1 year later. I think that is enough as far as that investigation is concerned, that focused on that real estate. Thank you for your question. Next, and in the same train of thought, as you've mentioned, shortly after the publication of that investigation, you have registered the house properly, reflecting that the house was cleared for occupancy. But this clearance for occupancy, this is done not when you start living there, but when all the works, construction works are finished and ready for moving in. So, in 2017, when you registered the house with the cadastral authority, at the time, have the renovation works, the construction works been finished? Was the house already consolidated, finished, or were the works undergoing? There were still certain works undergoing, and even after 2018, when we've actually moved in there, the house was not completely finished yet at that moment in time. Just a few rooms were completed. We had already moved in because we had already sold the apartment where we were living just before that, that is, last apartment. So there's that, and even now there are certain works underway still on the house, but then now we already have to start renovating some other parts of it. I mean, that's how things are with the house. Thank you for your answer. According to the declarations you filed from 2017, 2022, you've indicated the value of the house as being 1,200,000, and the total amount with all the construction works, and that was about 1,471,675 Moldovan lei. Do you confirm this information in your declarations? Well, there's no way for me not to admit to that. It reflects the evaluation that was performed by the representative of the cadastral body. I thought it was a little bit exaggerated, but those were the formulae at that time. So certainly, whatever is there written, I cannot not admit that that is correct.
Organul cadastral efectuează
The
analiza
cadastral
și
body
aprecierea
carries out an
costului,
analysis and they
după formulele
evaluate the
proprii.
price of that. They're using
Dar
their own
comunicați vreo
formulae.
comisie care au
But can you
fost
tell the
însuși
Commission
cheltuielile care
what
le-ați
were the
suportat
actual expenses
dumneavoastră
that you've
în
incurred
perioada până la înregistrarea la organul cadastral?
the entire period until you've
pentru
had this house
procurarea
registered with the
terenului
cadastral
și construcția
body
caselor?
for the land, for the
Reparația.
construction works, for all those works in the house.
Păi, terenul a fost procurat
The land plot was purchased in
2012.
2012,
Dacă nu mă greșesc, la prețul
and if I'm not
de
mistaken, I paid for it
7.000 și ceva de euro.
a bit more than 7,000 euros.
Și respectiv după am început
And
să...
therefore, after that,
Deci a fost
we
construire,
started
n-am
to,
cumpărat-o
I mean,
construită.
we've built it. I did
reparațiile,
not
am început
buy
fundament.
a house that was already built. So we started with a
O țavă de gaz acolo
foundation.
trecea.
We needed to fix something with
Comunicările.
the gas
Dar,
pipe and
spun acum concret,
all the other services that needed to be connected.
am
But now, to
investit
say for certain how much
chiar
we've invested, I really
n-am
cannot
păstrat.
give
Nu
it a
cumpăram
figure. I
strâns
didn't keep
aceste-
that. I
nu
was
știam
not
că
keeping those
Cândva vor
papers. I
apărea
didn't
asemenea
know that at
întrebări.
some point in time some questions will be raised
Da, vă
in
mulțumesc.
that regard.
Dar totuși, în concretizare,
Thank you.
dumneavoastră
Still,
chiar acum ați relatat
As a
că,
follow-up
după părerea
question, you've just
dumneavoastră,
said
erau cam
that, in your
exagerate
opinion, the
estimările
evaluation was a little bit
organului cadastral,
exaggerated, the
aprecierea
estimation of the cadastral body, that
Ceea
is.
ce presupune
You
că
said that
aveți
you
o
believe that was
estimare
exaggerated,
poate-
which means that you had some estimate of your
poate
own
vă înțeleg, poate nu
to compare
dispuneți de
against. I
toate
understand that you might
documentele
not have
confirmative,
all the
dar
supporting
cum apreciați
documentation,
dumneavoastră,
but
cam care a fost
what
media
assessment are you
investițiilor
capable of giving?
în
On average,
această
how
construcție?
much did you invest in building this
La
house?
această construcție
You see, this house, or building this house, if I were to,
au fost și rude care m-au
there were
ajutat
relatives who gave us hand, who helped us.
la construcții.
Helped us
lucram
with
acolo.
the construction of the house. I worked for that too. So
Nu știu ce aș putea să mai
I
relatez.
don't know
Dar, în
what I
final,
could
când am văzut
add to
prețul,
this, but when I saw that amount, in the
bine,
end,
acum
I found it
asta cred că
exaggerated. Now I do think that this
așa
might be the price for a
Dar
house
atunci
for a house like
vreau
that. This
să
might be
vă-
the value, but at the time I thought it was quite a
Vă
lot.
mulțumesc pentru răspuns.
Thank you
Și
for your
vă rog să
answer.
comunicați comisiei
Can you
care-
tell the Commission
care au fost sursele care le-ați
what
utilizat la
was the
construcția acestei case?
source of the money that
Proveniența
you used to support the construction of this house, or what is the
acestei
origin of the money spent for
Și
building this house and for the accessory constructions?
Am dat răspuns la
I will provided answers to that in one of the rounds. So the sources of income are the following: the sale of the apartment on Nicolae Sulac Street,
înstrăinarea
the sale of
acelui bun
that
imobil de pe strada
real
Melestiu
estate then on
și înstrăinarea
Melestiu
apartamentului
Street,
de
and
pe
then
strada Nicolae Sulac.
the sale of the apartment on
Respectiv și
Nicolae
unele
Sulac
familii,
Street.
unele cheltuieli,
So
unele
there were
economii ale
also
familiei.
some
Deci toate aceste
family
trei
savings.
imobile
So all of these
practic
three
reprezintă
assets, practically they represent
Aceste
together
case
the value
care dispun la moment
of
și se află
this
într-o
house that I
suburbie
currently have and that is located in the
a orașului
suburb of the town
Vă
of
mulțumesc
Chișinău.
pentru răspuns, dar
Thank you
pentru
for your
concretizare
answer,
ați
but just to
repetat de
clarify, you
două ori
repeated
imobilul
twice
de pe Nicolae
the
Sulac.
Nicolae Sulac
Nicolae
asset.
Sulac,
So that was Nicolae Sulac Street, Melestiu Street, and Milescu Spătaru Street. Just to make sure that we got it right, thank you. And can you tell the Commission what was the amount that you sold each of these assets for? What was the actual amount you were paid?
Nicolae Sulac.
For the Nicolae Sulac
Înstrăinat a fost în
apartment,
2011,
it was sold in 2011.
aproximativ, nu mai țin
And
minte,
there was
dar
about, I
aproximativ
can't remember well
suma
now, it was
era de
about
40.000 de euro.
40,000 euros. 40,000, thank you. On the regarding the Melestiu apartment, I've invested in that apartment about
18.000 de euro
18,000
și a fost
euros, and it was
mai
sold
mult, dar nu
for
10.000.
more. But I can't remember
cu 20.
how much. Perhaps 20 or 22,000.
20.000 de
euro.
20,000 euros, you mean? Yes.
Și deja la Milescu Spătaru...
And
deja
as for the
prețul
Milescu
indicat
Spătaru, it is the price that was put down there
în contract.
in the contract.
E vorba de
That was
290.000 de lei.
290,000 lei.
Vă mulțumesc pentru răspunsul.
Thank you for your answer.
Trecem la următorul bloc de întrebări.
And now
ce
I'll
ține de
move to another
sursa
block of
de
questions
fonduri
regarding the
din
source of
depozitul la o
funds
bancă
for
comercială și
that
anume
for a deposit with a
depozitul
commercial
de
bank.
60.000 de
It
euro
is about a
pus în anul
60,000 euros
2011.
deposit
Dacă
in
aveți nevoie să vă
2011.
concretizez care
If
este
you
denumirea
need me
instituției
to clarify the
bancare,
name
vă
of the
concretizez.
bank, I can say it. No, I am aware of what bank that was.
Comunicați, vă rog, comisiei
All right. So can you tell the Commission
care a fost sursa
what
fondurilor
was the
depuse,
source of the
sursa
funds
acestor
that you've
60.000
deposited? What was the source of the
euro depuși în
60,000 euros
Cum am
deposited to that
declarat
account?
și la Secretariatul Comisiei,
As they've also communicated to
O mare
the
parte.
Secretariat of the Commission, a big part
o constituit
of that
înstrăinarea
was
apartamentului.
came from the sale of the Nicolae Solac apartment.
5.000 de euro
5,000 euros
a constituit un împrumut luat
was a loan that I took from a relative
și 15.000
of
de la
mine,
soacra
and then 15,000 from my mother-in-law.
Da, vă mulțumim frumos
Thank you
pentru răspunsul
for
dumneavoastră.
your
Dar
answer.
încă o dată concretizăm
Yet
suma
I
se
would like
crește
to clarify.
40.000
So
de
it
la
turns
Nicolae
out
Solac, corect?
40,000. Is it 40,000 that you got from the sale of the Nicolae Solac apartment? Yes.
Bloc de întrebări,
The next block of questions has to do
anume, ne referim la acel apartament
with
de pe
with that
strada
apartment
Nicolae
on Nicolae
care,
Solac Street.
L-ați, conform informațiilor primite de la
According
cadastru,
to the information
în
from
2010,
the
dumneavoastră
cadastre,
ați
in
înregistrat
2010,
dumneavoastră
you've registered
un
in your
apartament
name an apartment
în strada Nicolae Solac,
on
în baza
Nicolae
contractului
Solac
de
Street on the
investiții
basis
din
of
12
an
mai 2006,
contract of the
contract de
12th of May
investiții,
2006.
anexa
That was an
numărul
investment
unu,
contract
acord de
Act number
colaborare din
1, a collaboration
2006,
agreement of
încheiat între
2006
Procuratura
between
Generală și
the
compania
Office
de
of the Prosecutor
construcții.
General and the construction
Adică ați
company.
beneficiat de un
So
preț
you
preferențial conform
were
acordului
allowed to pay a
Procuratura
preferential
Generală
price as
și
per the agreement between the Office of the Prosecutor General and the
compania de construcție.
construction company. That's right.
După aceea, în anul
And afterwards,
2011,
in
dumneavoastră ați
2011,
înstrăinat
you sold
imobil,
that
indicând în
apartment.
contract
And in the contract,
valoarea
the value that was stated there
este mai mică decât
was
valoarea
smaller than the cadastral value.
În răspunsurile
In
anterioare,
the previous answers, even today, you stated that the actual price paid was about 40,000. How can you explain the difference between the money that you were actually given after the sale, for the sale of this apartment and the price that we can see in the sales and purchase agreement with regards to that
Da,
apartment?
deci
So
acel bloc locativ
in that block of apartments, at the time
se
that
afla la
we sold it,
marginea sectorului
was
Ciocana.
at the outskirts practically of
În acea perioadă
Ciocana
nu
City
era
District.
nicio
At that
infrastructură
time,
în
there was
prejurime.
no infrastructure in the surrounding
Mă refer
area.
la lucruri elementare.
I
Nu era
mean,
farmacie,
basic
magazin
things, actually. I
alimentar,
mean, a drugstore,
teren de joacă.
a grocery store, or a playground.
acestea.
There was not even a
Drumul
proper
de acces
access
nici
way.
astăzi nu este finalizat.
There is a road, an access road to that block of flats
Și
isn't
era
finished
un
even to
moment,
this day.
Acel bloc era în litig.
And there was also some litigation that block of flats was concerned in, and the future buyer knew about these circumstances. So we put it out for sale. He accepted the price. I gave him that excerpt from the register and copies of my and my wife's IDs. And the future buyer handled the paperwork. We just met with a notary, and that's what I saw, the price in the contract, that it was smaller than the cadastral value. I asked him about that. I asked why it was more convenient for me for the contract to show the realistic price, but that was the condition that the buyer imposed. When you sell an asset, a real estate asset, you depend to a great extent on the buyer. The buyer practically dictates their rules and what they would like the contract to say. And this is the explanation
Vă mulțumesc pentru explicația dumneavoastră.
Thank you for this
Dar mai am o
explanation.
întrebare.
I
La
have another
Serviciul,
question.
Fiscal de stat,
With the tax service,
ați declarat venitul
you've
din
declared
din
proceeds
vânzarea acelui
from the
apartament,
sale of that
suma de
apartment,
470.000
470,000 lei.
Adică un venit mult
That
mai mic ca
is
prețul
much
cadastral și
under the
organul
cadastral
fiscal a
value,
perceput
and
că
the
s-a
tax
aduce pierdere de
authority
capital.
has seen
În
this as a
cadrul
capital
comisiei,
loss.
de ce n-ați declarat
Can you
Serviciului
tell
Fiscal de
the
Stat
Commission why you did
prețul
not
real
tell the
pe
tax
care
authorities
l-ați
what the
primit
actual
pentru
price
vânzarea
was
acelui
that you,
apartament?
what it
Vorbim
was
de
the actual
suma
amount that you received for that apartment,
40.000
which was
de
about
euro.
40,000
Ceea ce
euros.
demonstra o creștere
And
de
that would have
capital
actually
al imobilului.
shown a
Dar nu
capital gain, not a capital loss. Thank you.
Într-adevăr, la serviciu fiscal am
Indeed,
prezentat
with the tax
aceste
authorities, I submitted that documentation.
Nu puteam să achit ceva
I
dacă nu era prevăzut în
couldn't pay something that was not provided for in the contract. So what the contract stipulated, that's what was
Asta
reported.
este răspunsul.
This is
Perioada
my
aceea când,
answer. In that period of time,
așa se făceau tranzacții.
that's how
Noi
transactions
am
would be
inventat
carried
ceva.
out. It's not like I came up with
Dar,
this,
da, eu recunosc.
but I do
Sumele mari.
admit the amount was bigger.
Asta e.
That's it.
Vă mulțumesc pentru răspunsul dumneavoastră.
Thank you
Trecem
for your
la următorul
answer,
bloc de
and I
întrebări,
will be moving now to the
care
next
se
block
va
of
referi la
questions that
cel
has to
imobil
do
din strada
with
Melestiu
the real estate on
și
Melestiu
anume,
Street.
faptul
And specifically, I will address the
conform
fact
contractului
that as per the
încheiat
contract
între dumneavoastră și
entered
compania
into by you and
de
the
construcții,
construction company,
acel în contract se face mențiune
in
la
the
faptul că
contract,
el
it says that
este parte a unui
it is that apartment 2
contract încheiat
is
în condiții
under
de societate civilă din 7 aprilie
is
2010
under that
încheiat între
agreement
Procuratura Generală
between
și
the
compania de
Prosecutor
construcții.
General Office and the construction company. So it was under
Prima
that
întrebare.
arrangement as well. So my first question is, do you admit that you have repeatedly used the possibility to have an advantageous agreement concluded on the basis of a partnership between the Office of the Prosecutor General and the construction company?
Fiindcă acel
I do not
contract a
admit,
fost încheiat în urma
because that contract
negocierilor
was entered into following negotiations with the construction company.
Vă mulțumesc frumos pentru răspunsul dumneavoastră.
Thank you for your answer.
Conform informațiilor primite de la
According to the
companii de
information from the
construcții,
construction
în
company,
contractele de societate,
in such
contractele
agreements,
comerciale,
when there are
acea
commercial
mențiune cu
agreements
privire la contractele
that
de
mention
societate
on
civilă și
agreements
Procuratura
such as the one
Generală
between the Office of
nu
the
erau
Prosecutor
menționate.
General and the
Cum-
construction company.
cum
So in that sort of
explicați
contracts,
această-
this
faptul că anume
what you claim was not
contractul
mentioned. So
dumneavoastră
how can you
face referință
explain that
la acel
specifically
contract de
in your
societate
contract
civilă?
practically there was reference made to that agreement between the Office of the Prosecutor General and the construction company? So how come still that reference is made?
Procuratura Republicii
Well, let me be
Moldova
clear.
a
The
beneficiat
Office of the Prosecutor
de două
General
terenuri.
has been given
Unul
two
în
plots of
Nicolae
land, one on
În
Nicolae
perioada
Solac
anului
Street
2005,
in 2005, more or less around that time, and another land of plot on Melestiu Street
au fost
later.
create comisii
Commissions were established who were supposed to select the beneficiaries.
Eu am beneficiat la Nicolae Solac.
I was
A doua
given
comisie era
this
compusă
possibility on
din
Nicolae Solac Street, but the
unii
second
membri care
commission
au fost
consisted of
foarte
members who were also among the
Doar
members
că
of the
a doua
first
comisie
commission. It's only that the second
era-
commission,
După număr erau mai mulți.
there were
Mai mulți
more
ca număr. Și erau și
people on that commission.
procurori din
No, there were more
teritoriu.
people among the beneficiaries, including
Deci este
prosecutors
imposibil.
from the territorial
Este
offices. So
imposibil ca cineva care
it is
a
impossible
beneficiat
for someone who
Nicolae
has
Solac
already
să fie
been given
inclus
a preferential price in Nicolae Solac. It is
Melestiu.
impossible for such a person to be included also on the
Să fi
list
fost
of
așa
beneficiaries for the
consecințele
Melestiu Street
vedeți că erau drastice.
apartments.
În primul
But
rând,
actually, the conditions were
persoana
very
dacă
strict.
beneficia de așa ceva,
If a
risca
person
cariera.
was already would have a
Apoi,
second
dacă se
opportunity
întâmpla
like that,
așa
use such an opportunity,
siguranță,
they would lose their career. They would risk losing
mass
their
media
career.
era la curent.
And if that actually happened, the mass media would have already
Și
known
trei,
about it.
Comisia, dacă admitea
And
asemenea
if
fapte,
the commission allowed for violations like this,
putea fi tras la răspundere
then
inclusiv și penală.
they
Pentru
would
că,
actually
de
risk
exemplu,
criminal liability. They
Melestiu,
would expose themselves
câte
to criminal
apartamente?
liability because for Melestiu there are few
50 de
apartments, say
apartamente.
about 50 5050 apartments on Milestiu Street. As for beneficiaries, there were not prosecutors only among those who would purchase a preferential price, but there were also staff of the prosecutor's offices, so more people. So it would have been an absence of morality for someone to get a preferential price on Solac Street and then on Milestiu as well, instead of somebody who needs one on Milestiu Street. And the Secretariat, if we go back to the first round of questions, there was question number 8. At the end, it says that according to the information from the e-cadastre, neither you nor your wife registered in the real estate asset. In the real estate register, you did not register an apartment on Milestiu Street in this register of real assets. And that's a very good finding of the Secretariat. But the conclusion is only one, that I have personally actually disclosed this information. I have shown it. There's nothing for me to hide. What is more, I would have liked to get an apartment on Milestiu Street for a preferential price. I could have entered into a transaction with a colleague of mine. We could have had an agreement, an arrangement, and he who has the right, he could have taken that apartment, but without having the resources to actually pay for it, that could have been then transferred to me. And if I did not persuade you already, I'm even ready to sit a polygraph test. But in the contract, I think that's what they said, because they were using boilerplate contracts. They knew I was a prosecutor. I talked to one of the directors of the construction company. There were several of them. And I think there was either a financial director or construction director. So I asked, is it possible for me to get an apartment that is not, for a price that is not the commercial price? And they said, yes, okay, wait for it, we'll let you know. So my request was accepted, but I was not on the list of the prosecutor's office staff that were granted preferential prices on Milestiu Street. Thank you, and you are right. And the Commission too is diligently wording its questions, and you indeed did not register that asset, that apartment, with a cadastral body, but you've assigned your investment rights. But we will go back to this matter a little bit later. But the question that I would like to ask you now has to do with the construction company, and the fact that the construction company has presented some information to the Commission as to the fact that the commercial price for apartments in the block was oscillating between 550 to 650 euros per square meter. And the price, according to that agreement between the construction company and the prosecutor's office, for the employees of the prosecutor's office, that price was 340 euros per square meter. And this is the amount that you paid, that is the investment price that you paid according to the investment in constructions contract. So if you keep insisting on the fact that there was a negotiation, how can you explain that the investment price, the investment that you paid, is practically 60% of the commercial price that the apartments were being sold to people other than those that were part of the preferential price program? My explanation is the following. I've engaged in negotiations with a construction company, and that was granted. They've accepted it. So, for the construction company, I don't think that even the price that I paid, I don't think that then added up to be a loss for them. I've made some calculations using the commercial price and the price that I've actually paid. For the company, it didn't make such a big difference. That was a lot of money for me. But for the construction company, that was not, I believe that was not I mean, I don't think that it was such an important amount for them. They've accepted it, and that's what happened. Now, I couldn't have gone to, I mean, fine, we could ask for that. I guess I know who I negotiated it with. And we could go back to this question, I guess, later, if that person still works there for the company, they can confirm that I was not on the list of preferential prices. I personally was not there.
Thank you for your answer. The next question results from what you said so far. Why did you go this way of assigning your rights and did not register the right of a real estate and sell it properly? Because the assignment transaction took place in 2016, and according to the information received from the construction company, the building was cleared for occupancy in 2015. So by that time, you've had the possibility to register it with the cadastre in 2016 and sell the real estate. Could you please tell the Commission why did you choose to go this way? At that time, I had information that the building was not cleared for occupancy. And for me not to wait until it was cleared, because I needed money urgently. That's why I chose that way. I have been informed now that the building was cleared for occupancy then. That is the explanation. Thank you for your answer. A bit earlier in today's statements, you said that you actually received for the assignment of your investment rights the amount of approximately 20,000 euros. According to the information received from real estate agencies in 2006, the sale price of a square meter in the same building varied between 13,700 to 14,000 Moldovan lei per square meter. That was the equivalent of 620 to 660 euros per square meter. Could you please explain, do you still support that you got 20,000 euros, or do you want to refresh your memory and state another amount? Because there is quite a large deviation between their price and the one you mentioned. You know, every real estate valuation company gives a different price. That's why I support the price the money I got. I got the money that I invested plus a little extra. That's it. Thank you. Given that you mentioned that the assignment was against payment for an amount of approximately 20,000 euros, but actually, when you signed the agreement, it was said that it is gratuitous. Please explain the company. Please explain the Commission. Sorry. Why, even though it was an assignment of rights against payment, you declare in the contract it said it was gratuitous. Well, the person who agreed to buy that apartment, we went to the notary. I don't know whose idea that was, but I confirm once more that the buyer is setting the conditions. It was his idea, or maybe the idea of the body that concluded the transaction, for us to enter an assignment agreement. Thank you for your answer. My next question. Did you declare to the state tax service this amount of this capital gain of around 20,000 euros as a result of the assignment agreement? I did not declare because I did not have a legal ground for that. I did not have a document based on which I could declare. But what mattered to me was to get my money back. It wasn't about capital gain. Thank you very much for your answer. At the same time, in your declaration of assets and personal interest you filed for 2016, you declared that as income obtained from assignment of investment, right, the amount of 20,000 lei. Please explain why you declared that amount and not the actual amount that you received as a result of the assignment agreement. Once more, sorry, I wasn't attentive enough. In your declaration of assets and personal interests for 2016, when you filled it out, and in the section where you said that you received 20,000 Moldovan lei for the assignment of your mortgage rights over the apartment on Melestiu Street. But now you declared that actually the amount was 20,000 euros approximately. Maybe that was a mistake. The amount is the same. It must have been a mistake. It was a mistake.
Vă mulțumesc pentru răspuns.
Thank you for your answer.
Mai revenim la
Once more, let's go back to the real estate on Milescu Spataru Street that you sold in 2018. The price you mentioned, you declared for the sale of that real estate, is almost equal to the cadastral price. Do you still support that it was the same price, or was there another one, a commercial price? It was the price stated in the contract.
Vă mulțumesc mult.
Thank you very much. According to the information that we received again from real estate agencies, apartment of the same type, with the same area in the same sector of Chișinău municipality at that time had a market value of around 510,000 lei. That is around 25,700 euros. Could you please tell the Commission what is the economic feasibility of selling the apartment at a price that's only 60% of the market price? I will explain. Yes.
Deci nu poate fi comparat un metru pătrat al
You can't buy 1 square meter of an apartment that is at the end of the sector in Ciocana, like the outskirts of the city, with 1 square meter of an apartment that is located on Mircea cel Bătrân Boulevard. These are different locations. We can't compare. You can't say that all over the sector the prices are the same. That's the explanation. We concluded a contract with a cadastral price.
Vă mulțumesc. Vă mulțumesc pentru răspunsul dumneavoastră.
Thank you for your answer.
Trecem la alt bloc de întrebări.
Let's move to another block of questions that is about the source of loans from close persons that you declared in your annual declaration of assets and personal interests for 2016, namely, that's the loan from your son, 80,000 lei, 95,000 lei from your brother-in-law, and 10,000 euros from the mother, in the total amount of around 395,500 lei, or 17,936 euros. Do you confirm the loans that you declared in your declaration of assets and personal interests in 2016, that you received those loans? I declare that I admit that the amounts that are mentioned, I did declare them. Thank you for your answer. Now, please inform the Commission in what period, according to what schedule, and based on what resources you repaid those debts to your relatives that were mentioned before. Well, to my brother-in-law, the debt is still due. The due year is 2031. I haven't repaid him yet. To my son, that was a sort of silent repayment of a debt. I think maybe it was the year 2021. And the same with my mother. Thank you. In the same case, in your written statements, in your written answers to the question round, you mentioned that the debt to your son and to your mother are silently considered repaid, which, from a legal standpoint, is transferring that from a loan to a donation. And having studied your declarations over the years, the declarations of assets and personal interest, tell us, please, why didn't you report under the donations section that those amounts from your son and from your mother, since you say that it changed from a loan to a donation contract? The explanation is the following. The law on declaration of assets and personal interests, I don't want to read it out loud now, but the instruction on how it is to be, how the declaration is to be filled out, the internal instruction of the National Integrity Authority was issued in 2017. Therefore, when we were filling it out, we were asking each other, how do you fill it out? Where do we write this amount? Where do we write that amount? And that's it. I did not declare it. It means I did not declare it. Thank you for your answer. One more question about the resources that funds that your brother-in-law had, given that he gave you 95,000 lei as a loan. But according to the data from the State Tax Service, in 2014 he had a net income of 47,000 lei, 47,283 lei. In 2015, he had 61,862 lei, and in 2016 he had 61,745 lei, which means the annual income declared to the State Tax Service by your brother-in-law as an individual was much lower than the amount of the loan. How do you explain his capacity to borrow you that amount? To lend you that amount, sorry. Well, if I knew you'd be asking this question, I would have asked for an explanation from my brother-in-law for him to tell where did he get money. He had savings like any other family. He had relatives abroad. The sister was also working. Thank you for your answer. Also, in case of your son, in 2015 he had a declared amount to the tax authority, net income of 71,688 lei. He did not submit any earlier income declarations to the tax authority. Can you tell us where from did he have those 80,000 lei to lend to you? I will explain that. Thank you. My son graduated from the Technical University of Moldova in 2016. And in 2016, before graduation, he was already working for an American company, an IT company. That was his main job, but part-time he was also providing some IT services. That were like 1 week contracts, 2 weeks. He was helping friends, colleagues out. So he had money. Moreover, I can tell you that he gave me more money, and not only the 80,000. I declared the 80,000 because when I had to fill out, I asked him what income should I declare from his main job, and he told me 80,000. I could have declared 71. I did not know how much that amount was. I'm actually proud of the son I have, and I'm proud he hasn't left the country but works here in the country. Thank you for your answer. And the last block of questions that I'd like to make reference to is related to the amount that you deposited on the same amount where you had 60,000 before, but the amount according to your declarations that you received as remittances from abroad, it was 13,700 euros, and the question is, why didn't you declare this amount in your 2012 declaration? So you did not declare it either in donations nor other income obtained from other legal sources. So how do you explain that you didn't declare it? The explanation is the following. Indeed, on 2nd of May 2012, there has been a replenishment of the account, 13,700. Indeed, when filing the declaration for 2013, I missed that. It was just an omission, but the fact that the money was deposited on the account is finding of transparency and not finding of trying to hide something. The money was in the bank. The money wasn't just mentioned in the declaration. It is just an omission. Prosecutor Alexandru Nichita, I'd like to thank you for your answer. Chairperson, I don't have any other questions. Maybe colleagues have additional questions, please.
I'll ask my colleagues. Do any of them have questions at this time? Yes.
Yes, I have one question regarding the investment contract in the construction of apartment on Meleshiu Street. You already provided some information, so you signed this investment contract, as I understood, in 2016. Could you specify with whom you had concrete negotiations from this construction company? Could you specify the concrete person?
There was a concrete person, one of the directors, one of the commercial directors. Now I have to look into the contract and check the surname of that director. If you need the surname, I could additionally find that out. But it was with the construction company, with the representative of the construction company. I'd like to repeat once more. I don't know if you know where this building is located. It is a very large block of flats, hundreds of apartments.
Is it the same person who signed the investment contract from the construction company side?
I think so.
Did you have any personal relations with this person at that time?
No, no relation. We are not relatives. We are not acquaintances.
When you had a negotiation with this representative of construction company, did he know about that you are prosecutor at that time?
I think the person knew. I told him, look, there is a big contract signed with my colleagues. May I conclude a contract as well, but let us negotiate the price. And if the price worked for me, I would like to conclude a contract too. I told them I was not part of the list. And they told me they would think and let me know. So it wasn't an answer on the very same day. And, well, of course they knew, you know. Now you just give a name of a prosecutor and you just check the name and you can see where the person works.
And the last question, what position in prosecutor office did you hold at that time, 2016?
În 2016?
2016? Da. Just a second, I will tell you. I was interim head of the Department for Policies, Reform and Protection of Society's Interests within the Office of the Prosecutor General. I was holding that position between 2014 to 2016.
I would like to clarify, the investment contract was signed in 2016 or 2011?
In 2016, we signed the assignment agreement, the assignment contract.
Cer scuze pentru clarificare.
Sorry, to clarify,
Ați încurcat puțin. Noi ne referim la discuții nu de anul 2016.
The discussion is not about 2016, but about 2011 actually, because in 2016 you assigned the investment rights, but you made the investment in 2011. So I think my colleague mixed up the years, and he meant your position back in 2011 when you negotiated the contract with the construction company. Thank you.
Yes, exactly. Yes, my question is regarding the time when you signed the investment contract. If it was in 2011, so my question is regarding your position at the prosecutor office in 2011. What position did you hold at that time?
Between 2010 to 2014, I was the head of financial and economic investigations within the Office of the Prosecutor General.
Thank you for the answers.
If there are no further questions, Mr. Nichita, I give you an opportunity now to make a closing statement to the Commission.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to say that the Secretariat of the Commission has gathered quite detailed information that covered entirely my activities, starting in the year 2009. Altogether, they gathered over 1,300 pages that represent questions and answers from various institutions, state-owned entities, public institutions, financial institutions, and private organizations. When something was unclear, every time I contacted the Secretariat, they were responsive. In the end of this hearing, I would like to inform the Commission very generally about some aspects related to financial integrity. Indeed, I admit the existence of some omissions I made, namely lack of some documents, of some statements coming back from 2010 that I did not keep, because at that time I did not need them. Actions that were not deliberate, not intended. But what matters most, I think, is that both the Secretariat and the Commission is that all goods, real estate and mobile goods, were registered in my name. Operations or transactions took place via financial institutions, and the funds were deposited in bank accounts, not hiding any income or goods, property. There are several reports from the National Integrity Authority finding the lack of a substantial difference between the income earned, expenses incurred, and the acquired wealth. Now, after 26 years of work, I have a detached house and a mobile property. I don't have any other property in country or abroad. When I asked where does this house come from, which is located in the suburbs, the explanation is the following. It was built during a period of 5 years, between 2012 and 2017. Secondly, before being employed in the prosecutor's office, my family had a dwelling. Then I paid that apartment at the preferential price of 117 square meters that I sold in 2011, and the real estate obtained via mortgage agreement in 2011 and then alienated in 2016. All these three apartments are the value of this house. They were sold or alienated in various moments over time, but the sequence of these events lasted for more than 20 years. It's up to the Commission to decide if some financial violations are severe or not. I would like to inform the Commission about some aspects related to the ethical integrity, because this aspect was not covered. Namely, during my activity, I held several positions, both managerial and non-managerial positions. I have never been sanctioned. The other way around, I was encouraged or rewarded by various distinctions and encouragements. My name has not been mentioned in any judgment of a European court. There is no journalistic investigation about me, the object of which would be my professional work. Moreover, between 2014 and 2016, I was the chairperson of the Discipline and Ethics Board. In 2016 to 2023, I was a member and chairperson of the Board for Prosecutor Performance Evaluation. Within the National Institute of Justice, starting in 2018 and until now, I am a trainer delivering trainings on ethics and deontology of prosecutors. In 2021 and 2022, I was the chairperson of the Discipline Commission of Civil Servants within the Prosecutors Office, prosecutorial system. Since 2021 until now, I am the representative of the Office of the Prosecutor General in the State Commission for polygraph tests. I am proud for working in the prosecutorial system. That I know and I've known colleagues who are professionals, who are worthy, who are dedicated to this job. I'm proud that I contributed to promotion of colleagues, and last but not least, that several generations of graduates of the National Institute of Justice know the professional behavior that a prosecutor should have. I'd like to thank you for this public hearing, and I wish you a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Nichita, for your participation in the evaluation process and at the hearing. The Commission will now deliberate on this matter and issue a decision forthwith. Hearing is now closed.